Good day everyone, this is Shanine Debulosan, and for today's video, I am going to discuss about the ethnocentrism and relativism. So without further ado, let's start! What is ethnocentrism? So ethnocentrism is the practice where we tend to believe that our own culture, ethnic group, race, etc. are superior to others. So it is the belief that one's cultural group is centrally important and superior to others. So individuals that are ethnocentric judge other groups in comparison to their own ethnic group or culture, especially when it comes to language, conduct, customs, and religion. An ethnocentric individual will believe that his or her culture is better, correct, and normal. So it is often a judgment that we make based on our culture. They tend to believe that what they practice in their own culture is right, as opposed to the other practices of the other cultures. A group of individuals may see another way of life and consider it wrong. So the group may try to convert the other group to their own ways of living, such as the case of proselytization in religion. And it is also important to note that ethnocentrism leads to the formation of the feelings of us and them, which creates and enforces the ideas of an in-group and an out-group, where the former will refer to the people of one's own culture and latter to the people of another culture. The term ethnocentrism was first applied in the social sciences by American sociologist William G. Sumner. According to him, technical name for the view of things in which one's own group is the center of everything, and all others are scaled and rated with reference to it. When observing the tendency for people to differentiate between the in-group and others, he described it as often leading to pride, vanity, beliefs of one's own group superiority, and contempt of outsiders. So, an example of ethnocentrism in culture is the Asian cultures across the countries of Asia. Throughout Asia, the way of eating is to use chopsticks with every meal. So these people may find it unnecessary to find that people in other societies such as American society is eating using forks, spoons, knives, and etc. Since these countries use chopstick to eat every meal, they find it foolish for other cultures to not use utensils similar to chopsticks. So next is the cultural relativism. So it is the view that all beliefs, customs, and ethics are relative to the individual within his own social context. In other words, right and wrong are culture specific. What is considered moral in one society may be considered immoral in another. And since no universal standard of morality exists, no one has the right to judge another society's customs. In Madagascar, for example, the Famahidana funeral tradition. It includes bringing bodies out from tombs once every 7 years, wrapping them in cloth and dancing with them. Some people view this practice disrespectful to the body of the deceased person. Now, cultural relativism is established as accepted in anthropological research by Franz Boas in the first few decades of the 20th century and later popularized by his students. So, the idea that all people have equally developed cultures. Moreover, Boas first articulated the idea in 1887, wherein civilization is not something absolute, but is relative, and our ideas and conceptions are true only so far as our civilization goes. But he did not coin the term cultural relativism. Franz Boas was originally trained in physics and geography. He argued that one's culture may mediate and thus limit one's perceptions in less obvious ways. He also understood culture to conclude not only certain taste in food, art, and music, or beliefs about religion. He assumed a much broader notion of culture, defined as the totality of mental and physical reactions and activities that characterize the behavior of the individuals composing a social group collectively and individually in relation to their natural environment, to other groups, to members of the group itself, and of each individual to himself. So this understanding of culture confronts anthropologists with two problems. First, how to escape the unconscious bonds of one's own culture, which inevitably bias our perceptions of and reactions to the world. And second, how to make sense of an unfamiliar culture. Finally, the generalization of this topic is that ethnocentrism is the tendency to look at the world primarily from the perspective of one's own culture. Part of ethnocentrism is the belief that one's own race, ethnic or cultural group is the most important, or all aspects of its culture are superior to those of other groups. And some people will simply call it cultural ignorance. However, cultural relativism is the principle of regarding and valuing the practices of a culture from the point of view of that culture and to avoid making hasty judgments. Cultural relativism tries to counter ethnocentrism by promoting the understanding of cultural practices that are unfamiliar to the other cultures. So that's the end of my video. I hope you learned something, and that's all. Thank you. Bye.